What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. Now, just a huge thank you. Yesterday over on Patreon, we had 2 new members. We had Wendy Woo AK, and we also had Heather Johnson. Thank you so much for your support. It really does mean the world. And for everyone getting involved in the channel, I cannot tell you and I cannot express how much it means. Now, I know we all love to hate it, but over on TikTok, I posted a couple of Choosing Beggars videos yesterday, and I even had someone like sending me a video of them doing my intro. Absolutely made my day. I don't know how this stuff works. I don't know how TikTok works. I'm just posting Choosing Beggar content on there. That's all I'm doing. So if you want to get involved, please do so, and let's get on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for refusing to help my stepbrother pay for his wife's surgery using my inheritance money? First of all, I, male 39, just want to say, fuck cancer. I've lost my mum and my son to this awful disease. My son passed away in 2015. Every day it still hurts the same. My mum and dad were divorced. I mostly live with my dad for several reasons. My stepbrother and I don't get along so well. To be frank, I don't see him as a brother because how he behaved during my mum's and my son's difficult days. I took care of my mother solely. My dad didn't care. He didn't even get the family to comfort me by at least visiting me once in a while. During my mum's sickness and after her death, no one wanted to spend time with me. I was not invited to birthdays, family dinners, New Year's Eve, etc. This year's Christmas was filled with tears and unpleasant memories. My loved ones weren't there, and I was literally wallowing in my misery, reminiscing about how my life used to be before everything was ruined. I remember 1 week after my son's death, my stepbrother had his wedding. He actually had the nerve to send me an invitation via my dad, thinking that I might attend. I was upset, not gonna lie. They downplayed my grief and made it worse to process my loss. I inherited money from my mum. I haven't done anything with it yet. I decided to not make major decisions during the first year of grief. My days are the same. I just visit my aunt from time to time and we talk. My dad and stepmom have been visiting my stepbrother's wife, who was in and out of hospital for the past 2 months. I honestly don't ask since my stepmom and her son don't feel comfortable talking about it. My dad sat with me and talked about the family putting money together to help pay for medical debts and prepare for my stepbrother's wife's surgery at the end of February. He asked since I now have money then I can contribute and help with the surgery. I refused and tried to change the subject, but he went on arguing about how I'm supposed to help my brother and support him, especially now. I only replied by asking him one question. I asked him, where was my brother when I was struggling? My dad didn't like that. He told me to let bygones be bygones and stop making this about me and making the situation hard for everyone. He said he promised my stepmom and stepbrother that he'd convince me to pay, and I'm making him look bad right now. We ended up yelling at each other and I told him that's not my problem. He got my aunt involved in this mess and keeps saying I'm giving up on family and I'm being spiteful and bitter. I felt guilty but felt awful that they're asking for my mum's money. My mum, who they didn't even visit while she was sick. I understand what they're going through because I lived it with my son. It's every father's worst nightmare to see their son struggle like that. Then to have suffer another great loss is too much. Now, it's got to be an absolutely not the arsehole in this case. As it happens in many of these stories, it's like, you wasn't treated as family yourself. They didn't help you in your time of need and they didn't consider you as family. So why should you now have to treat them as family? It's incredibly difficult and I'm so sorry you're having to do this. And what's with your dad saying that he's going to convince you to pay? He's told the family that he's going to convince you to pay. Screw that sort of stuff, man. Who thinks like that? I sit here and I try to get in people's heads when I'm reading these stories and I try to see it from like everyone's point of view and I try and sit there and think about what that person was thinking at the time. And I just can't get myself in someone's head who would think like that, who thinks I'm going to convince that person they need to contribute when they've been treated so poorly in the past. I just don't get it. But McQueen's Paladin says, what's the old saying? You reap what you sow. No one was there for you, so how dare they demand money now? My advice, go no contact with them. These people are selfish and toxic. Not the arsehole. And OP replies, absolutely, they didn't stop for some time to see how I'm doing. They were busy with their lives, acting like nothing happened. I know that life goes on, but I was really left behind. My aunt was there for me. She lost her sister. She understands my pain, though it may not be the same level. But a loss is a loss, and my dad and his family didn't lose what I lost. And Big Buttfucker, these names man, says, not the arsehole. He has shown you he is not family. You owe him nothing. And shame on your father for making a deal with your money before getting it. And OP replies again saying, this is what bothered me the most. He thinks he's entitled to the money because it's my mum's, and he's wrong to think that. Especially after his treatment and lack of sympathy when he saw what she was going through. And Keegeen says, not the arsehole. They don't get to claim family treatment when they haven't treated you like family before. And Stones for Days Damn It says, not the arsehole, your dad certainly is though, for telling his family that he would convince you to pay. Fuck him. You are not obligated to take care of anyone but yourself. If you want to help, that's great, but it seems they just want to use you. Do whatever makes you feel best. And Significant Cost says, not the arsehole, don't let them guilt trip you. You can bet that after giving them your mum's money, they will start treating you the same way they did. I'm so sorry for the loss of your mother and your son, OP, and you deserve better than your father's family. Now, I turn it to you guys. What would you do in this situation? Would you ever consider helping them with the inherited money or not? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from Am I the Arsehole Borrowing? Am I the arsehole for refusing to let neighbour borrow my husband for her lie? My husband, 42 male, and I, 31 male, live in a nice apartment. We aren't really friends with our neighbours, we're polite but that's about it. Our upstairs neighbour, Kelly, is a lesbian. Closet, she has only told us because she assumes all LGBT+ needs to be friends, who's never told her family. Well, she's been lying to her mother about having a boyfriend. By describing my husband, redhead, groomed beard, former Marine, she came to our apartment to ask a huge favour. Her mother was coming over to dinner. She needed my husband to act like her boyfriend and break up with her. I asked if she was serious, but told Kenny it's up to him. Kenny held up his hand to show his wedding ring and said the only way it's coming off is if someone chops the finger off, and no way he's going to act as a fill-in boyfriend or a cheating husband. Kelly begged us to reconsider, but I told her no means no. She brought up that gays need to stick together, but I held firm. Kenny is my man, and he said no too. Kenny has since told her mum about being a lesbian, and that made her mum leave without staying for dinner. Kelly told us. Kelly says we're both vicious arseholes for forcing her to come out, and we say we aren't because she lied about a man. Am I the arsehole? And we're going to start with Buttered White Bread with this one saying, not the arsehole, lies have consequences. It totally sucks that her mother hurt her and that she felt the need to hide who she is, but she can't demand people come rescue her from her own lies. That boy's a keeper though, I can see the appeal. And Princess Jasmine99 says, not the arsehole, there's a difference between solidarity and enabling. She could have easily used something else for her mum instead of a lie about your husband. And Serge RN says, Kelly is the arsehole here. Oh, what a tangled web we weave, and she's paying the price for her own actions. And HP Pennypacker says, not the arsehole, even without you helping her, she didn't have to come clean to her mother. Not hard to just say, sorry, me and Mr. Marine broke up. I mean, you could have helped her, honestly, something you would have laughed about, and the ring thing is a bit weird, but none of that makes you the arsehole for not helping. She is misplacing her blame, but don't be too tough on her, she's obviously going through a lot. And Aardvark overall says, why didn't you just think of telling her mum they broke up? And Doris Useless says, I'm a lesbian and have a lot of very strong feelings about community solidarity. So with that in mind, what Kelly did was way out of the line. It's her business if she wanted to lie to her parents. Lots of us have to do that. However, her desire to involve your husband in personal drama without discussing it in advance is not appropriate. Nothing you did forced Kelly to come out to her mum, or to lie to her mum. She did that on her own, and she has no business being angry at you over any of this. Not the arsehole. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What would you do in this situation? If someone comes to your door and asks you these questions, how would you deal with it? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from Downtown Armadillo. Am I the arsehole for paying my neighbour's child to bang on the wall whenever my girlfriend practices her singing? My partner, 33 female, and I, 31 male, have been together for a few years now, and it's nearly all great. I work in the city but at home currently, and my girlfriend is using her inheritance to work on her art. I'm a very supportive partner. I help her film and edit videos, do her promotion on social media, as she is quite shy and reluctant to do it herself. Be a roadie when she has gigs in the old days. I've even offered to pay for a rehearsal studio for her to practice in that would have better acoustics than our flat. The only real problem is that I find her singing voice and most of her material to be very annoying, slow acoustic rap covers that are old hat now, for fuck's sake. I can cope for 5 to 10 minutes at a time, but after that it is like nails on a chalkboard. My colleagues can faintly hear her in the background of my video meetings, even though I close my office door, and I think a few times I've heard them sniggering, but I've just tried to ignore it. As we live in a flat and our neighbours have a child, there is currently homeschooling, and I have agreed to pay them £1 to bang on the wall whenever I request them to. This was working well until my neighbour's parent asked him where he got the money for his new trainers, and unfortunately he ratted me out. The parent has noticed in their hallway conversations that my girlfriend has seemed a bit down lately and has put 2 and 2 together and figured it out, and is now telling me that what I've done is terrible and that if I don't tell my girlfriend what has been going on, then she will. Am I the arsehole for just wanting a bit of peace and quiet when I'm working? Now I read this story and I'm going to play along now because I've already gone too far with it. But there's a few holes that were jumping out to me on this one about paying the kid a quid every single time. Sorry you non-UK folk, a quid is a pound. Squiddly diddly. So firstly, how was you paying this kid without their parents knowing every single time you wanted to bang on the wall? How did this kid accumulate enough money for new trainers and then go buy the trainers himself without his parents noticing during a pandemic? Yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that one. But I'm still going to play along anyway because I'm having fun. But as I said, we'll play along and say this is real and you would absolutely be the arsehole in this situation. Just as because of the lack of support you would be showing your partner, the person that you love, the person that you want to help and succeed in their art, and you're basically sabotaging that. So how supportive is that? You would absolutely be the arsehole in this situation. But we'll move straight on to a next story with this one. And our next story comes from RockySocky07. Would I be the arsehole if I tell my father-in-law to shut the hell up in the mornings? A few years back, my in-laws moved in with my husband, 31 male, and I, 31 female, due to money issues. Honestly, so far it has worked out great. We have the space, they pay a small amount of rent, and my mother-in-law cleans up around the house and cooks dinner about 50% of the time. This is great since they are both retired while we both work full-time. It takes a lot of housework off our plates, which we greatly appreciate. The issue is mostly my father-in-law. He has always been an early riser, but lately is getting on my nerves more and more because he has stopped being quiet around the house once he is awake. I am an especially light sleeper and we have taken many steps to try and keep our bedroom quiet. We have a cat who will scratch the door all night if it was left closed, so we actually put a cat door on our bedroom door so that we could sleep with the bedroom door closed to avoid the house noise so that I can sleep. We also use a humidifier and a purifier as white noise, which has helped out as well. Our room opens up into the living area while their room is down a hall. My current schedule is that I wake up around 6:45 AM to get ready for work. Often, and the last few days especially, he has been awake around 6, making coffee, doing dishes from the night before, and even using the coffee grinder to grind beans, which is frankly obnoxious. He is retired and has nowhere to go, and nothing time pressing to do. My mother-in-law generally stays in bed a little later, but she is guilty of this as well. I get more and more upset every time I'm woken up before my alarm goes off. I just want the extra 20 to 30 minutes of sleep. My husband is not as light of a sleeper, but he has mentioned that it bothers him too. It's not like I'm sleeping until noon and expecting them to be quiet the entire time. Would I be the arsehole if I tell them to stay the hell in bed until 7 AM, or at least until they know we are awake and getting ready? Or is my grouchiness blinding me to normal activities? They do pay some rent and help out a lot with the cleaning, and they are in common shared areas of the house and aren't yelling or anything. I recognise that I'm a light sleeper and I might be being ridiculous. And there is a slight edit update which basically says, I obviously wrote this in a state of anger and crankiness. I was planning on sitting down with him and having a polite conversation, not actually telling him to shut the fuck up. I just want to be sure that it's not overstepping / normal roommate behaviour. I think currently as it stands, no one is an arsehole in this situation, but you absolutely would be the arsehole if you went up to him and told him to shut the hell up in the mornings. You know, you're all adults in this house there. You should be sitting down and having this conversation and making those boundaries, and we learn it time and time again on these stories, and I keep saying, conversation is obviously key in this. I'm sure he's not doing it just to piss you off. From what I can get out of this story, they sound like genuinely nice people, you know, will work with you. And is there not the possibility of swapping your bedrooms down so your bedroom doesn't open into this common living space? Just throwing some ideas out there, guys. But Obededicta says, God, I haven't seen that name in a while, you would be the arsehole if you phrased it like that. He doesn't sound like he's doing it maliciously, and he really might not realise how light a sleeper you are, how well sound carries in your house. You and your husband should let him know you can hear his morning prepping from your room and it's waking you up. Ask that he save louder activities like coffee grinding and dishes for after 7 AM, or do it the night before. And Potato Pit says, no one's the arsehole here, but present it nicely. Father-in-law, I love you. I know it's a little annoying to be quiet in the mornings, but please, 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 the coffee grinder and X, if there's something else specific, is killing me. I really need that sleep or I'm a grump. Can we meet in the middle? Maybe I grind your coffee right before I go to bed at night and put it in the airtight container. And maybe set him up with a good morning coffee spot outside for summer. If you want to eliminate grinding completely, I really like Black Rifle coffee, super fresh, maybe a gift basket with fancy pre-ground coffees. Handle this as diplomatically as possible, is my point. Sounds like the positives outweigh the negatives. And Fluffy Unicorn 76 says, no one's an arsehole here. You should be able to sleep in your own home. However, I also doubt your father-in-law even realizes this is an issue. I think if you have a nice chat with them about mornings and how much you need that extra sleep, they will be responsive to ways they can help. Heck, your father-in-law may even think he's being nice by getting up and starting coffee. As a super light sleeper myself, I know how nerve-grating it can be by being woken up by the slightest noise. Now I turn this one to you guys. How would you deal with this situation? Would you go straight out there and say, shut the hell up in the mornings? Or would you handle it more diplomatically, like one comment said? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from SVW. Am I the arsehole for not punishing my son for opening limited edition Doctor Who sets? My son B14 is autistic. His special interest is Doctor Who. He's been obsessed with the show since he was about 3. Naturally, his room is Doctor Who themed, and he has several Doctor Who toys. My husband and I, B's stepdad, happily indulge in his interest. B doesn't really understand the whole concept of figurines and plays with them as one would with toys. We would make sure to buy him good quality figures that won't cost us a fortune, because he'll probably destroy the packaging and lose their props. B's father recently got back into his life and is also a fan of Doctor Who. As such, he was pretty excited to buy him things for Christmas. We explained that he should buy anything that can't be used as a toy, so no collector's items or anything that would have to stay in packaging. He said he understood. Come Christmas, he bought our son 2 limited edition collector figure sets, which definitely cost a bit. My husband and I were a little apprehensive, but we didn't say anything. It was explained that they weren't toys and had to stay in their packaging. Our son didn't really pay any attention to them, but occasionally I caught him staring and shaking the boxes about. A week ago, he asked me if he could get them out just once, promising he'd put them straight back. I explained that they were expensive and shouldn't really be played with, but they were his, so he could do whatever he wanted with them. He got them out, and true to his word, he kept the packaging nice and puts them back whenever he's finished playing. Obviously, my ex wound up finding out and blew up at me over it, saying I shouldn't have let him open them because they weren't toys. I explained they were his and he could do what he liked with them. He's insistent I punish our son for not following the rules, saying if he'd known B wouldn't have looked after them, he'd have kept them for himself, which is rich considering we told B would probably take them out of their packaging. My husband thinks we're in the right, but family members think we should do something because our son did get clear instructions not to open the boxes. Am I the arsehole? Oh, it reminds me of when I was a bit younger and I used to collect car models, and all the doors and bonnets would open like that, and I was obsessed. Still am. I love them. Dodge Vipers. I really, really wanted one. Still want one today, and obviously I'm never going to afford one. Maybe one day. Who knows, right? always live the dream. But yeah, I was collecting these and I must have had about 40 or 50 of these things, and they were all boxed and all nice, and I didn't like getting them out either, and I liked collecting them, and that was just my preference at the time. But whenever my younger nephews and nieces would come over, you could see in their eyes that they wanted them so badly. They wanted to play with them. And I remember just one day, and these were expensive models, and I kind of still look back at it and think, damn, I wish I still had them. But seeing their faces when I handed them down to them, I said, look, do what you want with them, play with them. And I remember boxes being everywhere and all my Dodge Vipers being played with and crashed into walls and all sorts. But seeing their faces for that moment, enjoying those cars, it was just so worth it. So worth it. But in this particular situation, you know, OP did warn the dad, saying, look, he wants to play them, make sure you don't get stuff that you don't want broken, basically. And he still went ahead and bought these things and then has a go at you about it. No, don't punish their son. He just wants to play with his toys. He just wants toys he can play with. He's a child. He's 14. Come on, man. But if snakes could speak, says not the arsehole. You literally let B's dad know what would happen and he still went with it anyway. Also, once you give someone a gift, it's their business how they use it, as long as they're not harming someone with it. Like your son seems to be playing with it carefully, so there's not really a problem. And OP replies, he's being much more careful with them than his other toys, honestly. I never understood the point of leaving something in a box anyway. And Frivolous Sal says, ugh, this is torture to a kid. For as long as I can remember, my grandmother enjoyed giving us those holiday Barbies every year, and I hated not being able to take them out of the box. They just had to sit on a shelf collecting dust in my room. Here's the thing, I wasn't even interested in the Barbies. For me, it was all about those tiny plastic shoes and the satisfying bounce back they provided when you chewed on them. So one day, I was staring at the Barbies. I decided that it wouldn't hurt just to carefully open one and try the shoe. So at Ocean's 11, my own property, took the shoe out and chewed it for a while, and then I put it back. But once you've tasted blood, over the weeks, I was chasing that high. I went through all of my playable Barbie shoes, and finally, like a degenerate meth head, I ended up going on full holiday Barbie shoe binge. 6 years of work collecting them. Some I couldn't even remember receiving because I was only 2 when I got it. Gone. And then I felt terrible, riddled with guilt for months, like to the point of it affecting my school grades. It was a dark secret that I harbored for an indeterminate amount of time. To this day, I still have the Barbies, well, my parents do, still perfectly intact, box taped, with only the shoes missing. My friend Mark made the perfect scapegoat, as he already moved away by the time my mum noticed. I acted just as surprised as she was. Not the arsehole, let the children play. I've got this big urge now to want to choose some Barbie shoes.
Say what now?
But I absolutely love that comment. But Sin Count says, not the arsehole, once the gift was given to him, it became his property. If he wants to play with him, then who are they to interfere? You warned them, and they chose to ignore the warning, so it's not really your problem. I'm glad your son is having so much joy with them. Also, Doctor Who is amazing. Now, I'm gonna be really controversial here. I've never really got Doctor Who very much. I always found it a bit weird. Like the whole thing just a bit low budget and cheesy. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm totally wrong in this, but I just don't get it. It's not for me anyway. And it's really annoying because it's one of those things that I've always wanted to like, but I just can't get into. Like eating fish. Where am I going with this one? I always love looking at fish and really want to eat it, but I just can't bring myself to do it. Anyway, I can feel myself going off on some random talk here for the next half an hour, so I'm going to stop right now. Anyway, thank you once again, guys, for being here. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you did, you know what to do, and it's really, really helpful to do so. Hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, to get updated all the time with our videos. And just a huge thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here. It really, really does mean the world. And if you would like to join, you can, and support the channel by clicking that join button down below for YouTube, or heading over to the link in the description for Patreon and joining up there. As I said, it's massively, massively helpful right now. And just, yeah, thank you very much, guys, and I will see you soon. Have a great day now. Goodbye. Oh, and much love.